was thinking about some of the things you said yesterday about how people almost behave a bit weirdly around the medal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And before you brought it out, I was thinking to myself, come on, it's a medal. But then that thing has a presence.
Uh-huh.
Like, it has like an aura.
Yeah.
And you look at it and it's almost, you feel a bit like Frodo or something, like it's got a hold over you.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
It's like an extra person in the room almost.
Oh wow.
It is a bizarre feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously not something that you, I might not see another gold medal.
Sure, yeah.
Probably won't hold one, so.
Yeah, it's weird, the you know, your medals and trophies, like, some are on display, but most of them are just kind of like tucked away nicely. I find it a bit weird if I had my like Olympic gold medal just like here on display to everyone that comes over. I'm like, oh look at this. It's weird. I mean, mostly when you look at them, you feel very proud. And a lot of this, even with my Olympic medal now, I'm like, I still can't believe I did that. Like, I can't believe this is mine. It's kind of like this weird thing where you think like, oh, if I win the Olympic Games, you'll feel totally different. But it's like, no, I don't. I'm still the same Flora. I just have this gold medal now. Yes, in some ways my life radically changed, but in others, like, it didn't. So I don't know, it feels a bit weird for me to display it. It's like actually tucked away in a drawer upstairs. But I think I also keep it there because it's so meaningful to me, and I wouldn't want anything to happen to it. So I don't want to just leave it out in my house on a shelf. But what has been pretty amazing and something I never thought about was other people's reaction to the gold medal. Like, I've traveled with that medal around the world and back again, it feels like, because everywhere I go, people want to see it. And their physical reaction to seeing it and it's incredible to witness, like, you know, goosebumps or just like get shaky or visible excitement. And well, I guess they don't know what it means to go there and race, but they know what it means to watch it. So then even to be racing it, to win it, like, it really, yeah, can cross over to everybody and everyone can relate to it. You just didn't expect, like, I'm like, okay, I want to win this race, I want to win a gold medal, but it's actually meant so much more to so many people, and that's been really special. When I went home to Bermuda after the Olympics, I mean, obviously it was a huge moment there, and it was incredible and so special. But kind of everywhere I went, you know, people would stop me and say congrats, but you couldn't just be like, thank you. Like, you could tell it had a deep, meaningful impact to somebody that had never done a triathlon before, but they watched a Bermudian win an Olympic gold medal, and that had an emotional impact that was far greater than, yeah, I would have ever anticipated.
Yeah, so it's a big part of my day.
Yeah.
It's quite annoying when you do 3 sports, because it's like mobility, train, mobility, train, mobility, train.
I kind of grew up doing lots of swimming races too, and running races, but yeah, what sticks out most for me is pretty much from when I was about 7 or 8, well, until now, pretty much my whole life. Like, I've always been racing and I've always been very competitive, and that's essentially what my childhood was filled of going to lots of local races in Bermuda, whether it was swim meets, running races, triathlons, traveling abroad to the US with the triathlon club in Bermuda to do a race. That's just what I've always done. Obviously, I won a lot of races in Bermuda, and people always would then get, you know, hyped up to say that I could be good, but you don't really know because you're not comparing yourself to the rest of the world. But like that race, it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I do have some of the talent and potential to go on and make this a profession.
Like, what's going through your mind if you're out on the bike, or like if you're doing a hard run session? Like, what's going through your mind in those moments?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Nothing. I think when I'm training or doing, you know, a hard bike or a hard run, it can be kind of mixed. Of some sessions or moments, I'm kind of like, you know, visualizing being in a race, or like, this is what it'll feel in a race, and like, your mind kind of drifts to that side of things. And then in other times, just kind of like nothing, just focusing on exactly what I'm doing, what numbers I'm meant to do, what pace I'm doing, and almost just forgetting about everything else, forgetting that I'm preparing for a big race, and just really kind of enjoying the training, enjoying the hurt, and having fun while doing it. It's just one rep at a time. One rep doesn't go well, kind of got to forget that, focus on the next rep, like what can you change, what could you do differently, and then just tick them off, not be like constantly thinking, oh, I have 10 more, I feel terrible. Like that's just a recipe for disaster. And I think for me, it's like, typically I do 3 training sessions a day. So let's say I start my day with a hard swim and I don't feel particularly great, then I think, oh, how am I going to do my hard ride? How am I going to do my run? Like, you can't think about that. You really just have to, what is that word? Compartmentalize. I should not say that. I'm not saying it well. You really just have to focus on what you're doing now. Focus on that, and don't even bother thinking about what you have for the rest of the day. Because also you can turn around. Like when you're doing this amount of training, there's bound to be a couple sessions a week that are not going to feel great. But that's just part of it. So yeah, sometimes you just gotta think of nothing and just get the work done.
To be fair, like it's not like the people who went to Verona.
The past races, sure, they give me confidence, but they're not things that I constantly think about and live in, because I think you've got to keep moving forward. And okay, yeah, just because you won in Tokyo doesn't mean you're gonna go win in Paris. Like, you've got to keep, evolving and moving forward. So it's almost like, yeah, it's there. That's what you're preparing for, but you're also just doing a training day. The thing is like, I don't have to think about it every day, because there's something that will remind me of it. There's probably not a day that'll pass that somebody, whether I bump into them at the pool or even at the grocery store, will be like, what day are you racing? Are you ready? How's training going? So I think that's also sort of like a defense mechanism for me of not overthinking about it, because it's so much in my world already that I need to kind of establish my boundaries, and just, if I'm foam rolling, getting ready for a session, probably not thinking about triathlon too much at all. The come down from Tokyo was, it was this crazy mix of emotions, because on one hand, you've got so much exposure and excitement, and you're doing interviews and there's media and you get invited to all these events. And I mean, there was a week-long celebration for me in Bermuda and a national holiday, and it was crazy, and like it was very, very cool. But at the same time, like I'm still trying to process, like me, Flora, as just a human, like what I've achieved and what I've done and what went into that, and how great it was, but how exhausting it was afterwards, because I essentially realized I'd been carrying this weight of being Olympic favorite for 5 years, because the games was postponed. And yeah, as well as I did to sort of push that aside and handle it, it all hit me after. So like I was exhausted and like completely drained, but at the same time you're like, well, you might not ever have this again, and you have all these exciting opportunities, like you have to take them. I think naturally, because I am more of an introvert, and suddenly it felt like my life was just like exploding. Suddenly so many people knew who I was. And so yeah, that was just like another piece of just like having to deal and manage with so much going on. I mean, each medal that I've won, like 2 Commonwealth, 1 Olympic, those are my significant ones, they each definitely represent a stepping stone or a milestone on my sort of athletic journey. I think for me, 2018 Gold Coast Commonwealth Games is a very like fond memory, because it was my first time I went into a major games as a favorite, and it was certainly a lot for me to handle, and so to execute a great race and to win a gold medal there was like pretty incredible, because Bermuda doesn't win many medals at games. So for that one is really pretty special for me, because it was my first gold medal at a games. So even though it probably doesn't it doesn't have the same significance as an Olympic gold medal. For me personally, that was like a huge step in something like, oh yeah, I'm very proud of. It kind of did serve as a stepping stone for the Olympics, but at the same time, it was a significant like milestone and goal, and a very special memory, particularly because at Gold Coast, triathlon was the first event. And you know, they always have the medal tables, and because I won gold, Bermuda was at the top of the medal table for a little bit, which like, I mean, that literally never happens. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, personally, it kind of was like a dress rehearsal for going to an Olympics. But at the same time, it's not like I look at that medal and think, oh, that was just some small race. Like, no, it's a huge milestone and a big step in my career. So being two-time Commonwealth champion, it's certainly, okay, it doesn't go on par with being Olympic champion, but it's like, you know, just below it, I guess, if you had to rank them.
Do you ever get sick of the colour gold?
No one gets sick of the color gold. I think my friends like love to tease me now. They're like, oh, of course you have that in gold. And I'm like, well, I didn't buy it, like I got given it. Like, yeah, it's really cool. I think it's like a fun thing that's really fun for sponsors, I guess, to market. And then, I mean, yeah, I love having all my little gold accents. Yeah.
Oh.